Can I ask you a question, Ella?
Yeah.
What kind of world do you think we would live in if Harry Styles and Florence Pugh stayed together?
A more just one?
What timeline?
A more
would we be
righteous
in?
one?
Would we still have a pandemic happening? Would the world be fixed?
I think it would be the Lisa Frank cartoon of the dolphins coming out. The earth is healing.
And yet we have this reality. So let's get into it.
I didn't know that they were together. Wait,
See,
no.
that's something we learned.
Before we do the deepest dive of all deep, before we do an Olympic dive, cannonball, triple, quadruple split into the ocean of this,
Ooh.
I think we should welcome everyone back.
Yes.
Welcome back to the pod. I am one of your hosts, Ella.
I'm that other one, Avis.
And here's the gag. Today on Here's the Gag, Avis is going to spit some fire bars, perhaps?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, Ariana.
Salad dressing. Olivia Wilde.
We're going to do a timeline, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to do a quick recap. From those of you who don't know the drama, if you're living under a rock. So there's been some speculation about the feud between Olivia Wilde and Florence Pugh, starting over the Don't Worry Darling movie.
The critically acclaimed movie that's a movie.
It's a movie that we saw, and it was much like a movie.
It was akin to a movie, I'd say.
I realized halfway through, I was watching a movie.
We did pay out of our own shallow pockets.
$16, but we did get a completely empty theater because no one wanted to see Don't Worry Darling 2 p.m. on a Thursday.
Shocked and appalled.
It was a great time to see it.
Yeah. No, we picked correctly. We also, listeners, invested in your well-being. So take that to the bank, but don't, because the check is going to bounce. Anyway, take it away.
Okay, so we actually got some insider info on this.
Crazy to me. So crazy to me.
I know someone from work whose boyfriend's friend worked on the set of Don't Worry Darling. So you might be like, Avis, you're so well connected. How do you not have any money? Well, I give it all to charity. So
and the Quad Cinema on 13th.
And that check also bounces. So Florence, apparently, as we heard, we discussed this last time, and I admit that I've been a bit of a fempologist and Olivia Wilde-pologist in the past. And I was like, I can't believe that people are saying that, Florence would direct a lot of the movie, because I thought it was kind of wild that the lead actress would be directing the movie, even if the director was a little, off-kilter. But turns out that's what people on set were saying, and that she was very irritated, that she was, because Olivia and Harry would kind of, disappear. Things would be very, what? She wouldn't show up for scheduled times.
Olivia wouldn't, or Florence?
Yeah, Olivia wouldn't, and even when she was there, she was very distracted. So apparently Florence one day stormed off set.
Oh, my goodness. So, according to the inside source.
Our inside source, alleged,
unnamed.
And they also said that there was a lot of time spent coaching Harry to get the takes, just because he's not very experienced in acting. And I think Florence was
frustrated by that.
Yeah, because obviously you would be.
I would be, yeah.
And he's getting paid 3 times as much as her.
Are you serious?
3 times.
Wait. Isn't Olivia Wilde, all about gender equity?
Yes, but she pays her boyfriend more than her accomplished actress.
Wait, are you serious?
Who has an Academy Award. What does Harry Styles have?
That seems crazy. I mean, are they is that as though they are covering the money he would have made doing a tour? Because
I imagine, I can understand that he's they know that he's very sought after and people would buy tickets for him. But I think in terms of her little feminist spiel does seem to fly in the face of that, especially when it's someone you're dating. I would be very careful about not. I'm sure that contract was decided, and she may not have even really had that much of a say in who gets paid that much. I'm sure it was Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and also his team, but that is really obscene and disgusting.
Oh, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, pay women what they're working for. What?
Especially when she's directing part of the movie. No wonder she's pissed as hell.
Also, I'll say this. You can be in love and know when someone's bad at something.
Maybe she just sees potential. It does seem a bit... When you see that movie and you see how young he looks in it...
And the whole time we were like, this is borderline pedophilia.
16. I'm like, I wonder if it's a level of I see your potential and I want to mold you. like that kind of like
He's
director
just
actor stuff.
The need to be so clean shaven for this film.
He's such a baby.
Oh my god.
There's a photo of them like holding hands walking to a wedding, and he's walking the way a toddler would walk in the photo.
Are you serious? Wait,
and I only noticed
it?
Yes, please look up them holding hands. So let's get into the
drama. Did he officiate in a terry cloth robe? What is this image?
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like these LA weddings people are having. I don't know. It just seems like that's the kind of wedding you have when you're not inviting your parents.
Right.
Know?
You're like, fuck it, my friend's going to do it in a terry cloth robe.
Exactly. And mom and dad can't stop me now.
Yeah.
Okay, so October 17th, a story broke from the Daily Mail.
The most reputable news source ever.
You know, we were all expecting that the ex-nanny told the Daily Mail what happened between Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis as she was watching their children.
Yeah.
And she says that Olivia Wilde broke up with Jason just weeks after she began filming for Don't Worry, Darling, and that there was a big overlap of cheating, and that so Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde, I thought that they were married, but they'd just been dating since 2011, and they have 2 kids together.
Oh, I guess I also thought they were married.
I think it was a matter of the custody papers being served to Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, that is what
divorce
triggered.
parent.
No.
Yeah,
this
papers.
is what triggered the whole thing. Is that she was doing a speech, and his legal team or whatever sent someone to serve her while she was on stage giving the speech.
And she was very like girl boss about it. She was just like, "Oh, okay."
I mean,
and then she kept going. I was like, "Whoa,
that is insane."
Yeah.
Like, I am on her side for this portion of the story.
Mm-hmm. And people say that he doesn't have a say in how it's delivered, but I mean, he's a very influential person, and it seems very pointed.
Maybe he doesn't, but he can like convey the like level of intrusion. You know, you could be like, I want to make her suffer, or you could be like, in private.
Yeah.
You know, you can at least dictate that. Maybe you have to serve people publicly. I actually don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be public because people go to people's houses and do it. I
So
think
then,
they said that she was like avoiding it, and but they don't have to do it like this.
That
seemed very like that seems just like a statement in itself. Okay, so the nanny says that she never noticed any problems in their relationship prior to this, and that just a month before Wilde dumped Sudeikis, the actress had talked about her plans to marry him, and was going to talk about making their daughter like the flower girl and things like that. And then everything switched when she met one Harry Styles. She started like spending more time away from home, and she was like saying that it was because of work, and she was staying in a hotel in LA. And then she said that there were texts that were revealed so it's all kind of confirmed through that.
Oh, it is. That was my follow-up, so thank you.
Yeah, so they got all the texts from the nanny talking to both Sudeikis and Wilde. And the texts say, it is very sus. They're like, oh, you know, kids can't stay in my hotel, so I'm going to put you guys up in a hotel somewhere else when you come visit us. And it was like when she was filming in Palm Springs, and they live in Silver Lake. Yeah, so it's just like, what hotel has a no kids policy? I've never heard of that. I don't go to fancy places, but
a saucy hotel.
One that, I mean, I'm shocked they didn't check Harry Styles at the door with that 16-looking face.
So true. It's LA, baby. How old are the kids? Do we have that?
One is Otis is 8 and Daisy is 6.
Gosh, they've been together a while. I mean, those are like kids who are cognizant of what is happening.
Yeah,
that's a toughie.
I know it seems like the parents are trying to like join together to make sure that like the kids are saved a little bit from this, because they released a statement saying that like none of this is true.
Yeah,
all of this is false.
Well, both of them.
Yeah, they made a joint statement, which I think was smart of them.
That is smart.
I think
that is
publicity-wise, that was great. And I think Jason Sudeikis has been in this business long enough that from this statement from the nanny, it shows that he was very emotional, but it was very smart of him not to have an emotional response.
Yeah, I like Jason Sudeikis. I think he has good timing. I don't think he's like my favorite man in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think he's a good actor, definitely.
But this is sad. This is sad. Yeah. Sad story. Continue.
It's a complicated one. I don't know whose side I'm necessarily on.
Yeah.
So apparently, Jason starts finding out that Harry Styles and her are together through an Apple Watch that she left at the home.
Yes. Oh, nothing like tech.
Yeah, and he was out of control crying. He seems to have a bit of a drinking problem, allegedly, to this story. And he was saying that she like put the moves on him at a dinner. So it wasn't even like that Harry Styles had come on to her and she had just like been like, oh, maybe she had been kind of pursuing him.
I don't think Harry Styles, and I'm not saying this to be inflammatory, I don't think Harry Styles has the upper body strength to home wreck. You know what I mean? The man's a house made of twigs.
Yeah. He seems to have some... He's not skinny though.
He has the backing of...
Dry, you know?
He has the backing of like money.
And just like a Mick Jagger, like sexual ambiguous charm, I think, is what he's trying to emulate.
He could be a little uglier if he was a Mick Jagger type.
Yeah, he doesn't have like the grittiness where you're like, I know the sex is good. You're kind of like, maybe the sex is good.
Yeah, it's very middle.
It's very Aquarius.
Middle of the road. Oh my!
He's an Aquarius.
Goodness.
Can you believe that? I think that's what everyone's like starting to realize.
Wait, actually,
because it's a very like filtered charm. I feel like an Aquarius, they put on such an act, but you don't really know them very well.
Yeah, and there's an element of oddity, but you can't pin it down.
It's
and
so strange.
Present is very like even keeled to you as well.
Mm-hmm. They're always so weird, which is very charming.
It is charming.
Yes. So, and apparently Wilde went to a party with Styles in Silver Lake, and she got home at 4 a.m. So he's furious. And then 2 days later, this was the salad dressing incident.
Wait, so for context, are Sudeikis and Wilde together at this point?
Yes, they've been, I would say they're like partners, you know? They're like married, but without the label and without the legality.
But they're in love. It's not like they're together for the kids. Or we don't really know.
They seemingly are in love. This is why he was so heartbroken, is that they'd been together intimately very recently before this and been dating. And
wait,
you can see...
How do we know those details?
I know those details from the text because...
Yo, what?
Like right before she left, he's saying like, he's such a cringe texter. When he texted the nanny, he's like, love will win. Hashtag, God, what was it? Hashtag believe. And it doesn't even seem ironic.
Maybe he's a little unwell.
So that's how you know that like she said that their relationship had been over long before. And I wonder if it's a miscommunication in a sense. Like she was like they were trying to fix something,
or if he's trying to repair
that
it
was already broken.
I was gonna say he's trying to repair it. She's over it, moving on.
Because I feel like there's relationships like that where like the men are like, and it happened out of nowhere,
but
it's like I've been telling you to change for years and you haven't. You know? And then you're like shocked when they do something about it.
Yeah.
So the salad dressing incident. So there's a special salad dressing that she only makes for the people she loves, and she used to make it for Jason. And then she's making a salad in their home to go bring it to Harry Styles, which does seem a little like torturous. I would say
transporting salads, not a great idea, girl.
And like when she revealed her recipe, why not just make it at Harry Styles' house? It's not a very complex recipe.
Okay, this indicates to me that they had communicated about not being exclusive, maybe, or not being together, because that's a level of brazen that I feel like I would not do if I knew that I was cheating.
Yeah, I wonder though if it is like, you know how adults can be so incredibly immature, it could just be a way to hurt him. Like I feel like we're thinking it as a way of them being like,
this is a layered story,
you know? Like I am very confused about both of their personalities.
Okay. But actually, what I really want to know is what was in the salad, not the salad dressing. The salad.
That's a good point. People have been very critical of her salad dressing. I'll reveal that later.
Later,
but what? Because that's her statement.
Okay.
So she leaves with the salad. This is where things get a little questionable on Jason's side, I would say. He tries to prevent her videotaping her, chasing after her as she tries to drive away, and then lies under her car so she can't get away. Then she goes back inside. He goes back inside. She goes back outside. He goes back outside, lies under the car. Like, plays a little ritual for a while. And it just went back and forth. And then, like, to me, I feel like we make an excuse for this of, like, oh, we love Jason Sudeikis, we love Ted Lasso. He's just a very emotional... I haven't seen it either, but people love it. I think it is good.
Those people are weird. Whatever.
I think if it was a random man doing this, we'd be like, that's a very abusive behavior. Yeah. It's like when a guy like swallows your keys so you can't leave, or stays.
What the fuck? Who does that?
You never had that happen to you? No,
what?
It does happen.
Jeez.
Or just like stands in your way. Any way to prevent someone from leaving.
No. I do think
very
that's
abusive.
That is manipulative, abusive, all of those things. I will also say this supports my case that we should only be purchasing lowriders as cars, you know?
Lowriders are so hard though, the bumps.
Or why isn't she riding a Vespa?
She definitely has like a huge Jeep, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And
massive tires.
And it all comes back to gas guzzlers. And this is why I am
real crime.
Looking to open a business that converts gas and diesel engines. I don't know who the fuck uses diesel, but whatever. To electric vehicles. I will be charging women and non-binary folks less money than I charge cis men. Sorry, it is what it is.
Are you measuring for a Jason Sudeikis size hole underneath so he can't fit?
I mean, now, yeah, that's going to be written into the business model.
Amazing. I think that'll do very well.
I'm just let's just all be a little more critical about
our consumption
and our carbon footprint.
100%.
You know what I mean? Do I know what a carbon footprint is? No. But I'm conscious about it.
I have a size 9 foot, so I imagine mine's pretty big.
Yeah, yours is huge. And I've been meaning to talk to you about
footprint, baby.
You got to stop walking.
It's a pleaser. Okay. So after that, she leaves the kids and he texts the nanny who's upstairs with the kids. Like, she just left. She doesn't care about them. She told them to their faces, apparently.
That she didn't care about them?
Or that she was leaving. That's his framing of it. And then
he
says, like, she took her salad and left. Sorry. It's not funny. It's a
little funny. Again, make the salad at his place.
So then afterwards, she agrees to go to therapy sessions with Sudeikis.
Good.
They traveled to London with Sudeikis because they were filming the second season of Ted Lasso. And Sudeikis signed the nanny up for life coach sessions to try and get information about Olivia Wilde out of her. And then they would get mad at each other for who the nanny was texting. It just seemed like, at first when this came out, I was like, that's really shitty of the nanny to, like, come out with this stuff. Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I was like, that's so, like, disgusting. Like, this is a family's business.
As we make a podcast about this,
I would never have exploited this situation for my own gain. I would never have.
We're not making money.
But, like, the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
I wonder how much she got for it.
A lot.
But still so cheesy, so tacky.
It is tacky.
Yeah. But then she was treated really badly because they kind of pitted her against both of each other. She was fired really abruptly and kicked out of the house. And she didn't get severance pay because they said that they didn't fire her and that she quit. Yeah, so, and it was kind of like a scary situation of him being very drunk.
I don't like that.
Yeah, and just kind of being like, get out of my house or I'm calling the police.
Oh, no.
Just abruptly, just because she had texted Olivia something that was going on and that she felt kind of like unsure about what was happening. So the responses. They came out as parents. They said it was upsetting to learn a former nanny would make false and scurrilous accusations.
What?
Scurrilous.
Can you spell it?
Scurrilous. Scurrilous.
Never heard of this. Making or spreading scandalous claims about someone with the intention of damaging their reputation. Well, guess what word I'm adding to my little lexicon? Scurrilous.
Scurrilous.
Because it sounds like it's talking about rats, but it's not.
It does. They're scurrying along. So they're trying to make it out like she was like a crazed kind of stalker and she'd been attacking the family for a while.
Cool.
And then on Instagram, Olivia Wilde didn't say anything and she just posted her salad dressing recipe, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh my God. Wait, okay.
That is so good.
That's
God damn it.
fucking funny.
You try to hate the woman and she just does something like that.
I will say she's a firecracker.
I like that she doesn't want to be liked.
Can I get the recipe?
So it's a balsamic vinaigrette. Let me look it up. It's from a book, actually, which is kind of sexy for them. I feel like Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde read a lot.
I'm going to say it's not sexy, and here's why.
Okay.
You should be able to improvise a salad dressing.
I could not, though. You have a brain that could do that. I would go blank. I'd put just honey on it or something. I don't know what to fucking do.
You would not put honey on it. You would know. You would taste it and you would know.
But people aren't born with that intuition.
Well, no, that's what makes it sexy.
But it's a kind of just like a sexy thing that it's a story about making it's from heartburn. which I think I've actually read before.
I've never read any Nora Ephron. Roast me in the comments below.
Get her. Okay, I taught Mark to make the vinaigrette. Mix 2 tablespoons Grey Poupon mustard with 2 tablespoons good red wine vinegar. Then whisking constantly with a fork, add 6 tablespoons olive oil until the vinaigrette is thick and creamy. This makes a very strong vinaigrette that's perfect for salad greens. It seems very bitter.
I am going to say that feels like too much olive oil, but whatever.
Yeah.
Also,
it's very simple.
Yeah,
as well.
you need a sweet. You need a little bit of honey.
Mm-hmm.
Or you need like a spice in there.
Thank you for advocating for my honey.
No. Your honey impulse was correct. This is what I mean. Like you have the instincts to pull it together. It's like a taste as you go process. Mm-hmm. I mean, I respect the literary reference. Okay, fine. You
Isn't
read.
That kind of sexy? Like I feel like they used to read that to each other, and that's why it's so romantic. I feel like they're both intense romantics, which I kind of just love.
What's her sign?
She's a Pisces, I think.
Interesting.
Right?
She's so pragmatic.
She's so like I feel like she's got some Capricorn in her. She's
totally
got some Scorpio,
does.
You know,
or like Virgo or something. She just seems really, I don't know,
Star
like driven.
Pisces, yeah.
Not that Pisces aren't driven, but I feel like
Florence Pugh is a Capricorn. That's so hot.
I do. Okay.
That's why they fucking hate each other. Because I always hated Pisces. If you come at me and you're Pisces, I hate your guts. I'm so sorry.
I don't hate Pisces, but I do hate the part of me that is Pisces.
Oh yeah, we both have Pisces moon.
It's so tough.
Yeah, so I've caught you up on the drama.
Okay, so where we leave
off
wild
is wild.
It is wild with an E on the end. She's posted the salad dressing. Everyone is like, where's the honey in the salad dressing recipe? But okay, guess you have, I don't know, insane aphrodisiac vibes going on.
Yes. So, and it is nice that I think most people are on the side of like, this should never have been public information. Because I feel like if this was like published like 10 or 20 years ago, people would just be attacking her ruthlessly. Mm-hmm. Instead, people were more like, this is a weird, complicated situation that we don't know enough about to have too much of an opinion. And also, I feel bad for the kids.
Yeah, my takeaway is kind of like tied up in like how much privacy are they allowed to have, which I do think you forfeit a little bit of privacy when you reach this level of fame and are like gaining a lot of capital from your celebrity. But I think it shouldn't come at the cost of like the well-being of your family.
Yeah, and I also feel like there's information about this pertaining to the movie and the treatment of the actors that I think it should be public knowledge.
Yeah, I also saw
But like things about family, I don't need to know that at all. Exactly. Cheating, that's not my business.
I also saw this take on like celebrity privacy that I really agree with, that it's like if the celebrity puts it out there, like the photo of them at the wedding, if they knew they were going to get photographed, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if you know that something is going to happen, or like the salad dressing that she released, that's like of her own volition. She released that. Yeah. I feel well within my rights as a member of the public and a consumer to like judge from that, but not from like sneaky source things.
Yeah, especially things that can't really be confirmed.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think what's the word I'm looking for here? Not suppositions, but like,
well, I guess it is like
unsubstantiated claims, shall we say. Shall we dive into our impressions of the film itself? Because
I'm going to get my little notebook
we have all this, now that we have all this context, we can say it doesn't matter.
I was wondering how we could do this. I feel like, do you want to give a summary of the movie, no spoilers? And then we do what we like and what we don't like?
I'm going to say, if you are here and you don't want us to spoil the movie, skip.
Yeah. Go watch the movie. Because I hate saying no spoilers because there's nothing you can really say.
Yeah, like spoilers. Get out of here. So the film is basically setting you in the 50s, or is it? And the whole thing is supposed to be a commentary on like incel culture maybe, and sexism generally speaking, but ends up being kind of an overindulgent, if I might say so, look at motifs, symbols in cinematography and film in general. Okay, here's the plot. Here's the plot. There's a young couple, Alice and I forget his name. Jack, great. And they are living in this perfect seeming town. Jack works for this company that is embarking on a project called the Victory Project. Unclear what it is, but Chris Pine is the boss. He may be a zaddy, he may not be. The California surfer hair doesn't really indicate either which way.
And it's modern day, but the Victory Project owns this. It seems, you think it's in real life, that it's like just a portion of land
in the desert
that you live in, kind of just like a cult area.
It's like a cul-de-sac in what could be perceived to be like a part of Southern California, is what I'd say. Or like desert area.
Yeah.
And as the movie progresses, Alice becomes more and more aware that things are not what they seem in the town, and also with her husband. It all seems to be fine, but there's like a woman who goes crazy, who kills herself. She watches it. It's just clear that the wives are experiencing something different than the husbands are experiencing, and there's a level of secrecy around the project. What she uncovers after much delay, after much ado about not very little, is that she's the version of herself that she knows in this perfect world is a simulation, like a VR simulation that's been orchestrated by the Chris Pine character as a way to like play out male fantasies kind of perfection and masculinity. So the husband, Jack, Harry Styles, was really unhappy in their relationship and in his identity. And so like found the Chris Pine cult world, bought into it, I assume, and created a VR experience for him and his wife. And this way they get to live out like being hot and perfect and fulfilling like the traditional gender roles that American society, at least in the 50s, prescribed. It's all very incel-y, but it does end with her breaking out.
A happy ending.
Or does she? It's like ambiguous. It's not. It's really not. She escapes in the end. But it's all about her gaining the knowledge that something is wrong, finding out what the thing is. It's sexism. And then getting free.
Being free.
Yes. So that's the plot. I'm sorry if it was poorly described.
No, I think you did a good job.
Okay, great.
Can I just say, though, it doesn't, like, if you're hearing that and you haven't seen this, you're like, that doesn't make a lot of sense, and you're right. You actually explained it better than the movie actually did it. You know?
Good.
Because it's supposedly a commentary on gender, but then I'm also like, this isn't a male fantasy. Like,
no.
If you wanted this to be a male fantasy, you need your male actors to be more intimidating.
And also more present.
Literally, it was all about the women, and they didn't even, sounds horrible, they weren't very oppressed, which was like a weird thing. Like, the sexiness of it, too, was strange. Because I'm like, if you want this to be a VR about sexism, there's so much you could do. You know, you could have, like, the female characters acting like little weird babies while also being mothers. But, like, even, like, Alice's life, you're like, this isn't... Like, you could have made this so much more restrictive for her and then have her, like, realize that this isn't the life she wanted.
Yeah.
But you're looking at it like, oh, they just chose to live this life.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really that restricts her very much at all, except that she can't really explore the world, but neither can the men. I'm like, what are the men getting that you can't get? They're just going to work.
Right. We don't see, that's such an interesting point. We do not see what the men are like getting out of this experience.
Exactly. I'm like, why would you choose this? You're just a little bit hotter?
Well, I don't know.
It just isn't, like, I feel like there's a lot of potential they could have done with this that they just didn't use.
Yeah.
So it didn't have, and like any gender commentary it made was so like boring. Like, we've already made all these points before. It wasn't even a 1950s restrictive society because, you know, at the pool scene, you see that woman walking around topless. Like, you're like, oh, so this is modern desert suburban housewife 50s. But then, like, there's no rules about how you should or shouldn't act, really.
Yeah.
It seems like they're allowed to do basically anything they want.
Yeah.
They just can't work, and then they can't they just go shopping all day. And you're like, okay, sounds, reasonable.
Yeah. I agree with all of those points. I also took real issue with the way that the men were kind of like goofs.
They weren't terrifying. Even Chris Pine came on set and you're like, okay.
Well, that's because he's a blonde, so you don't believe it.
And like a weird, like the gray coming in through the blonde just didn't look good. Whoever had toned his hair had done a terrible job.
Oh my God, so true.
And like I think they got so excited by the aesthetics of everything because
that's
it
what I'm
looked
saying.
Beautiful.
This is what I'm saying.
Like what you're saying about style. Like they got into that
way too heavily into the stylistic and like the visuals of it all. Did not. Is that Lorde?
What? Where?
Blonde.
What do I do?
Go.
Oh my God.
She has your blonde.
I told her that. Oh my gosh. Oh my
Wait,
God.
we got to get this on the pod.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, listeners, I just spotted Lorde. Lorde walked down the street, blonde,
Heavy breathing.
blonde. And Avis said, what? And Avis ran out, approached Lorde. Tell us what happened, Avis.
Oh my God, I wasn't even sure what to do. So she's on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of racing down the street, but I don't want to be like running at her.
Yeah.
So I cross the street and I say, she just looks so focused. I was like, I don't want to be too intrusive. So I was like, hi, I just wanted to tell you Solar Power is my favorite song in the world. She said, oh, thank you so much. I love your eyeliner. And I said, oh, you look so beautiful today. Thank you. And I ran away.
Okay, well, it feels kind of silly to like talk about this dumb movie, but
we got to get back. We got to get right back into it.
I'll say this, Miss Wilde.
Mm-hmm.
You could have this kind of positive response on the streets.
It's true.
If you were making art that rivaled Lorde's body of work.
It's true. Why aren't you in the studio, Olivia?
So true. We should bring her on the pod.
I wanted to defend herself.
I have a lot of thoughts. Oh, I do want to say I wrote down a line that I think Nick Kroll says at one point that I would love to incorporate into my daily life. He said, you drink like a sailor, but you look like a pinup doll.
Oh, God.
And I kind of really liked it. I was like, that's kind of hot.
You drink like a sailor.
But you look like a pinup doll. Also, okay, too many Brits in this film.
Yeah.
Is it America or not?
Obviously, like, they would have had, if it was Shia LaBeouf or another actor that was American, he would have just been American. So it just seems like they made an exception because Harry Styles can't do an American accent. Like, they tried to make it into the film of, like, he chose to be British because that's sexy.
But he did an American accent and it sounded so bad.
I didn't realize he was trying to be American.
Exactly. That's
like,
how bad it
was.
That is how bad it was.
And also, like, it would have been such a cool statement about American men.
Yeah.
If you had just made him American. Like, it's very confusing to have, like, a British man in an American desert trying to make a statement about that. I'm like, what's your point?
What is your point?
Ugh.
Make your point.
Also, like, in terms of, like, the cultiness, I would say, like, the lack of a religion, the lack of, like, any structure or laws. Like, we didn't know the rules of the land.
So true. That whole speech that Pine gave at one point, the one where they're, like, gathered at his house and he's just, like, talking.
Nothing.
Yeah, hooey. Mm-hmm. I got hooey from that.
You're just staring at his wig. Sorry, I'm joking. He's not wearing a wig.
Well,
maybe.
Someone else.
Oh.
Hey! Harken back to episode number 1 of Here's the Gag.
Yeah,
Harry Styles, Lady Gaga, murder plot.
Too quick to talk about Harry Styles balding as I lose all my hair, so that
was
karma on my part.
But now it's clear that you have to go further blonde because Lorde is doing it.
She looks so good.
She really did. She also has your coloring. Okay, I'm doing too much.
I look like Lorde?
I'm doing too much.
I wonder if anyone else recognized her on the street. So exciting, so exciting.
I'm like staring at the sidewalk. I'm like, what if another celeb comes by?
Who is it?
I don't know if I would run out for Nick Kroll.
Did you know that his father defended Harvey Weinstein? I learned that literally today.
I did not know that.
Such an upsetting fact I didn't want to know.
Sorry I cackled.
It's like, it's so ridiculous, it's funny.
Yeah,
it's funny. Not funny, is it?
I want to watch his Netflix special, Little Big Boy.
Yeah, I think that would be good. But also, I wonder if he mentions his father.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that this film... Oh, I wrote that the soundtrack really carries it, which is true. They jammed so many excellent, like, songs from that time period or, like, of that time period into the first, like, 20 minutes of the film to just, like, keep you from paying attention to what was happening.
Yeah, it set the mood. unfortunately the tone was so confused.
Yeah, it set the mood, but then I'm like, you can't use all the good songs with like recognizable lyrics that are bops within the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, well, now we've done it.
It just goes to show, I feel like she wanted to make like a music video. She didn't want to make a movie.
It was very... Oh,
it's all aesthetic.
That is so accurate. It was so much music video. And I...
Could have been a short film. Would have been a really good short film.
The parts of it that were just like ripoffs of Busby Berkeley. Do you know Busby Berkeley? The film? He's like the guy who kind of created that film technique with the dancers, like the aerial shots of dancers and stuff. Yeah. Okay, it's super like definitively him. It's like 1930s, the movie musicals that he made. He used this like technique. And I just like, I feel like she was relying so heavily on like these visual components like that, and then like the image of the like blood and the eye, and it's like, this isn't innovative. This feels like you put like stock things together.
Yeah,
it felt
especially
like a
the blood
of,
stuff.
Yeah, it felt like a compilation of like stock film footage.
And it was not specific enough to what you imagined was happening.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because like when you find out it's VR, you feel kind of cheated. I really wish it could have been a real place. You know, I hate the cheapness of making it.
I didn't
like
mind
a simulated a reality. You know.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. I didn't mind that it was VR, but I think that
because the rules are even more confusing when you don't make it an actual place on Earth. And also the child aspect of it, like. They obviously wanted to go for like the sympathy with like Olivia Wilde wants to be in the world so she can have her children back.
Yeah.
And then there's so much about children of like Margaret's character having like being crazy because her child died in the desert, which was such an unnecessary plot point that
super unnecessary.
Needed nothing. Like why did it have to be about a child? First of all, couldn't it just have been about her the same way it was about Florence?
Does this mean that they put children under?
Well, they said that it wasn't, but then they implied that it was. Because they said that the children aren't real. Jack was like, the children aren't real. But I'm like, why do the wives have to be real if the children aren't real? But are you just saying the children aren't real when they are real?
No. So many loopholes.
And also, like, children, I think, can be a source to oppress women. Like, trapping them into, you know, being a mother.
Absolutely.
Baby trapping, in a sense. So I'm like, why?
Like, was he going to get her pregnant in the real world?
It doesn't make any sense.
Or he was just going to get her pregnant in this fake world?
Like, they gave us that VR thing as, like, a little, like, shock thing at the end. That they didn't explain any of the rules, you know?
It's also, like, the entire time you're like, this is fake. You just don't know how it's fake, but you're like, this is fraudulent.
And they just liked the images. They loved the image of the egg breaking.
Oh my god, I was just gonna say the fucking eggshell.
Which didn't make sense because, for one thing, just in terms of like how a story goes, the way that they introduced the new character. You know how like story has like two ways of happening, like the new character coming in.
Yes.
So the new couple comes in, but yet they're not central to the story at all.
There's no follow up with them.
Why did they do that? Why did they introduce them? Just so they could like explain the rules expositionally, but then they don't do that. Like, they don't use the new couple as a way to explain the rules.
That's so true.
And her coming doesn't, like, spark anything within Florence.
Yeah, she doesn't, they have no scenes together.
Literally. And so you're wondering, like, because usually there would be some instance of Florence, like, waking up in a sense, but it starts with her and the egg. It doesn't even start with her and Margaret or something, which you would think it would be. She'd be like, oh, why is Margaret acting like that? But that happens after she has these notices. Like, and why does the egg crack to nothing? Because she's been making things with eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a glitch?
I don't fucking know. If it were a glitch, it should be like the egg is there, the egg disappears.
It seems like they had almost like come up with the VR idea after they already shot the film or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't incorporated enough.
It's just non-linear in a sense that is not good. Well, and then also, this doesn't make sense because it's actually not making a commentary on incel culture because Olivia Wilde's character chooses to be in this reality. That was
also a confusing thing. You're like, okay, so she's the one who did it for herself because she wants to be with her children that are dead.
Right.
And I'm like, would that be an option? Like, is this, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense the way that the Victory Project was advertised to people. Because I was imagining it's on an alt-right incel forum of some sort. Thinking. Like, how is Olivia Wilde being? It could have been so much more interesting.
Oh, this is such a bummer because I really liked Booksmart.
I did too.
I thought Booksmart was such a good debut.
Don't you feel like if they had made this comedic, it would have been so much creepier?
This is like the sophomore album where you're like, I wish you had like done a different genre.
Yeah, it's like she got too ambitious with
Yeah.
it. And then she fell in love.
And that didn't make the work stronger.
No.
Which is a bummer.
No.
It made it weaker. Sorry, Miss Wilde.
And Harry Styles, you feel like you're watching him warm up, you know? It's like he's almost there. You're seeing potential.
Defrosting, yeah.
And it's almost like his voice is too distinctive as his. Do you ever feel that? You're like, you can tell when he's in his actor voice and you can tell when he's in his real voice, when he's like improving something and there's like some natural chemistry with him and Florence versus when you know he's saying a line. So he's kind of putting on a more affected voice.
Yeah.
And you're almost like, I wish you had either done the affected voice or found like a synergy between the two.
Yeah.
But maybe also you're too distinctive as a person that we're never going to believe it, you know?
It's just tough because it can't even be camp.
It can't. It could have been. It was like
could have been
trying
camp.
for it. It was like almost like if it was funnier, it was more extreme.
If we'd had a little more slapstick with the 1950s of it all.
And if the shock had been more than just like it wasn't very shocking at all, you know? It didn't say anything crazy about, you know, feminism. It didn't say anything like it really didn't. It didn't have any hot take.
What I want in my media is a crazy take on feminism.
I would love that. I would want something really kind of disturbing.
I want you to be like, women are the worst.
It could have been. It could have been women being the incels.
See, you're right. That's an interesting take.
And they had like the ability to make it about like white womanhood, and instead they did not.
Instead,
you know?
they just like made the black character kill herself.
They made her, it was like just using like a black woman suffering. Wow, what an interesting motif that's never been done before. And like obviously wasn't maybe the intention, because then the actress was like, you cut me out of all my scenes. So you're like, what are the scenes? What was happening?
Yeah, so true. I was so curious about that. I was like,
Right?
can you go back?
What was the original plot?
What was the original plot of the movie? I do feel like that scene where she's in the mirror and Florence Pugh is not in the mirror. I'm like, are you just equating these women?
What was weird too is because this drove me crazy when I was watching it. Is like Chris Pine being like, I've been waiting for someone like you, and you're like, Margaret has already done this.
Yeah.
So you're saying the black woman that does it is not interesting to you, but when Florence Pugh does it as a white woman, it's suddenly fascinating?
So true.
Was it because Margaret's suffering was about a child and hers is about like just herself? Like, it didn't make any sense. I'm like, you're acting like she's the first person to have questioned this, but obviously she isn't, as we've seen this entire fucking movie. That drove me crazy. I'm like, why is she so worthless? And yet you're not talking about how in this world, as a black woman, she would be worthless in comparison to Florence. Like, why are you making us infer what the political structure it is if it's based in the 1950s and you say nothing about race this entire fucking time? Like, what are we supposed to believe?
Yeah.
You say nothing about this being a world in which, you know, they don't even try to say anything like, there's gender equity here, there's racial equity here. Say absolutely nothing about that in the Victory Project. Right. So are we just supposed to suppose, like, the one black couple is equal to everyone else?
Yeah, the translation, it's dicey.
It's so stupid, because then all you use her for is for her face being in agony.
Yeah,
and they didn't even make that interesting. She could have had a different expression, you know? That made me mad. I'm like, the directing here is so bad.
That's what I thought. I was like, this is a shitty direction, because I know that she's good.
Just one thing that really upset me was the nightclub scene. It was so out of the reality of what we had seen. We'd seen like the quiet desert laziness. We'd seen the little suburban life.
I just forgot what the scene was.
That's the one where he gets the award.
And Dita Von Teese is somehow there.
It's like gorgeous. You have all like the big palm tree motif they're going for, which I don't even understand what it's supposed to mean.
LA.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this is desert suburbia instead of the usual New England suburbia. I don't know. This isn't Connecticut. This is Los Angeles. I don't know. But it was so, like, out of the world that we had seen before. So I'm like, you have these little fancy nightclubs that you go to? Like, why haven't we seen this before? You've had, like, these dancers. Like, what does sex mean in this world? And how do these women that are the dancers live in this world?
Yeah, Dita Von Teese, I will say, props to Dita Von Teese, because she had, like, 2 close-ups on her face, and I went, whoa, what is going on? Like, it seemed like her character actually had, like, a full backstory that we never got to know.
Literally. It was implied, but then we didn't see it again. And also, why are all the women supposed to be dancers? Because that's like an inherently, I don't want to say it's inherently sexual, but it is like perceived as sexual dancing, you know?
Yeah. Catch me doing, Mark Morris contractions and tell me they're not sexy.
It's just like, why are the women like kind of obligated to go to ballet class? What does that mean? Is that supposed to be some pseudo immaturity?
Like, Miss Zane, that is an astute point.
It was driving me crazy because I'm like, if we're going off like your housewives, they could have made them like unsexy, wearing like boxy clothing, just being little wives that like vacuum. Instead, they made them like people that have hobbies. They get dance class.
I have a theory. Okay, so this is the life of an actual woman. An actual woman in the 50s is like upkeeping her physique by going to dance class or like an aerobics class, you know, because during the day, what is she doing? She's home, she's taking care of the children, and she's like keeping the house. So that is a translation that makes sense. And in this world would have made even more sense if they were like, well, they're under VR like conditions, so their bodies need to be upkept, you know?
But it's not their real bodies. They're lying in the bed when they do it.
This is what I'm saying. Wouldn't that be an interesting connection if it was like clearly the things that happen to you in the VR world are things that also happen to you physically in the real world, right? Like that's why Florence has to be taken out of the simulation at some point, because it's like verging on self-harm.
Yeah.
So if you're working out or if you're doing dance...
Is she ever taken out of it though?
Yeah, that's like a whole plot point.
When is she taken out of it?
When they like leave in the car, when she gets pulled out by the guys in the red.
Oh yeah, but does she enter the real world again?
Well,
I think she just sees flashes, doesn't she? Or
I think she must enter the real world because they have to like upkeep her and then bring her back into the VR.
Oh, okay.
Where else would she go?
I thought they were just like reprogramming her, but she was still within the VR world.
But either way, doesn't that affect her body? Like the way that they have to do like lubricate their eyes.
Oh, true. But doesn't Harry's character in the real world upkeep her body without her ever being conscious in the real world?
Right, but this is what I'm...
Sorry, I think I'm getting confused.
I love us trying to solve this movie's problems.
Something that the director never thought about. We're going into.
You know?
It could have been interesting too if they had used it as like a body dysmorphic commentary on like
the
1950s. Everyone's doing speed and doesn't eat, so the women are very small.
So true.
And they are all small actresses. Even the pregnant woman has a thigh gap, which they wanted me to notice, and we could not help but notice.
And we did notice.
Unfortunately, we're sitting across from each other. We both say it at the same time.
We were like, thigh gap.
I didn't want to say it. I was trying to keep it inside. And then I'm like, that pregnant woman is looking very thin.
Yeah, we were disappointed by that. Yeah. We were disappointed by that.
I wish you had a larger pregnant woman.
It's just a bummer because...
Or at least made a statement about it. Like, this is a very small pregnant woman. You know?
Have all this money. You have all these very talented performers.
Why didn't you just take it farther, Olivia?
I feel like it was just really self-indulgent. I feel like it was a self-indulgent exploration of, like, dress silhouettes of the 1950s, literally, if I'm being honest.
It felt like it was trying to sell me something, but I don't even know what.
I don't know what, and I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
Because I spent all my money on the ticket.
Literally.
For the fucking film.
God damn. I would say, like, it wasn't, like, a terrible movie. I've seen so many worse movies.
We're, like, ragging on it. We're like, but it's fine.
It was okay.
But it's a fine movie.
It was nice to look at. There were some interesting performances.
It was nice to look at, but you could just watch a Busby Berkeley movie.
You could watch a lot of different movies instead of this movie.
You could watch Carol.
Yeah.
You could watch anything. You could watch I Love Lucy.
Oh, the coats in Carol are so good.
I know, so good. You could experience any other film.
Yeah, and there was... The commentary about sexuality was deeply confusing.
So
because
confusing.
Also, like, the men were acting fairly homoerotic, but not really. But then you're like, is that a commentary about incel culture, like men loving men and hating women but wanting to sleep with women? But
I didn't even think that far ahead. I did not think that far ahead.
I think it was just natural chemistry that Harry Styles had with Nick Kroll.
Okay. Not to pivot, but I have a quick segment.
Yeah, we have a little game.
A little rapid fire, because I know we've been really...
I'm emotionally exhausted.
Okay, here's my game. It's called Congressman or Comedian. This is the game where I read quotes that I found online. They may be unsubstantiated. I didn't dig that hard. And then Avis guesses where they're from. Yeah. If they're from a comic or if they're from a member of our democracy. Heavy quotes.
The Venn diagram is a circle.
The Venn diagram do be a circle. This game was constructed as a means of letting politicians know that they should transition their careers into comedy.
And to add a little levity to our
a little levity, a little brevity, a little
podcast.
A little something, something. Okay, here we go. Some hogs have all 4 feet and their snout in the trough, and we got to find out who they are, gentlemen.
This is a Louisiana politician.
Yeah.
Really?
It's the governor of Louisiana.
For some reason, when I think of wild hogs, I think of Louisiana.
Wait.
Why was that right? That scared me. My own power scares me.
I'm sorry, he's a senator, not the governor. Excuse me, he's not the governor. But he's in there. He's in the mix.
Can I ask the context? What does that mean?
You can't.
Okay, good.
I
feel like wild hogs is used as like a slur in Louisiana, but I don't know to what.
Okay, yeah, exactly. A lot of these are like, you're like, is this a slur?
They're speaking a different language down south.
This is a follow-up in the same barnyard line of talk.
Why buy the cow?
Talk. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? You're not allowed to milk a cow that you don't own.
It sounds like a bit from a John Mulaney stand-up.
It's John Mulaney.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Okay. Disappointing.
King of consent.
King.
Apparently.
I don't even know when they have time to make movies in Hollywood because it looks like they're all busy molesting each other.
I'm gonna say Texas senator.
It's back to John Kennedy from Louisiana.
Damn, he does not stop.
No, he don't stop.
You just know when it's someone saying Holly weird and the molesting celebrities, you know it's a politician.
He didn't say Holly weird. It was Hollywood.
I know, but they're always saying Holly weird to mean pedophiles.
Oh, that's funny.
Is it after Meryl Streep said her speech? Was that the context? Because they went crazy. They were like, I can't believe we have celebrities talking about relevant things.
Actually, let me pull up the context. As allegations of sexual harassment by entertainment figures and politicians mounted, he was quoted in the Washington Examiner saying, I don't even know when they have time to make movies in Hollywood because it looks like they're all busy molesting each other. But now we know it's on Capitol Hill. We know it's in the business community. We know it's elsewhere. I guess I'm just naive, but I had no idea there were this many pigs in the world. I mean, it kind of ends on a positive. Wait, he's also the guy who said next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead. Wow, I didn't realize that. It's coming full circle.
These guys are just so prolific.
Man, and not to get a little Holly weird on them, but they're asking for it.
Oh. I love that they all say pigs and hogs.
Santa is a viable candidate with a real policy platform.
I'm going to say it's a comedian.
This is a politician.
Why is he advocating for voting for Santa?
So there is a man named Santa Claus in Alaska who is running for office.
Damn, I would have a hard time not voting for him.
And holy
it would take all my strength.
Mackerel, is this a funny one? And
is he a Republican or Democrat?
I feel like he's like Green Party or something.
Oh, true. Alaska has no rules.
Third party, bro. It is insanity. It is the Wild Wild West. It is the Wild Wild North.
Santa Claus, or was he?
He changed his name to Santa Claus,
as one would,
because he looks like Santa Claus.
Santa Claus with a C or a K?
With a C. Santa Claus. Santa Claus
is here.
Stroopwafel for Santa.
Ding dong. It's Santa Claus.
So this is from a Democrat who asked to remain anonymous.
Oh,
which is hilarious.
About Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't want to be named as pro Santa, but is pro Santa.
That's such a platform.
Okay. About God.
Yes.
Brush your teeth, say your prayers, and Daddy's gonna be home soon.
Oh God, Ted Cruz.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Wow. I'm starting to wonder if I'm like a closeted Republican that I know
me
this.
Too. I like need to see your voting record.
My body was saying, "Daddy, Ted Cruz."
Well, it's because of your affinity.
I answered to him.
It's just because you and the Zodiac Killer. You know what I mean?
That's what I know Ted
It's
for.
your type, baby. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, Big Teddy. Oh,
that was incredible.
Some lines over there.
I think you won that round, and you know why I think you won? Because of the Ted Cruz part.
Oh, why did I know?
I don't know.
And I don't know why did I know that guy was from Louisiana?
I don't know. It's feeling a little clairvoyant, and I'd like it to stop.
I think I'm in a VR simulation. My other body is responding.
You wish.
It's so hard being so sexy and so smart. Well, we'll see you. We love you.
See you next time. Stay hip.
Stay fresh.